Hello, Brendan.
Hello, Leslie.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I don't know. I'm hey. Like I'm not sick. Um and I'm I don't know. I'm trying not to think too much about the fact that I haven't performed a solo anything in multiple years, like plural years.
Well, thanks for anticipating my first question.
Oh,
Who's in charge here? Well, yeah, like go on about that. So, tell me how are you feeling? So it's been, I guess it would have been Triadic Memories was your last solo.
yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was Triadic Memories. And that was a lot. Um, yeah. I mean, yeah. That was intense because it's like 90 minutes of being very,
Of math.
yeah, and being very present, which is performing in
hmm
general.
hmm
But that, without breaks, that's a whole different thing.
hmm
But yeah, performing, a pretty like standard format recital. I'm not doing anything crazy. I really want this music to speak for itself.
hmm
This is the most recital-y of performances I've done um, in a while. I mean, with
Yeah,
the
since school, right?
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, even with the Feldman, I still had the the crazy installation to lean on, and I still felt, uh, I had Jason Ponce there, just as
hmm
nerve-wracked as I was, uh,
hmm
and then and we performed a huge piece by Messiaen, and I have you to lean on when I'm playing with people. It's kind of there's a um, I don't know, it doesn't feel as lonely.
Yeah, I guess piano then is it like the only instrument that is so that it is so solitary, right? That other instruments, there are solos written for other instruments that are without accompaniment, but for the most part, everybody has a team behind them in some capacity, and pianists are the only one that have kind of standalone big rep, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and we tend to be expected to do a lot of that, and it's
hmm
totally different vibe on stage by yourself.
Yeah.
It's not as fun for sure.
Yeah.
It how well it goes and how fun it ends up being really depends on how the stars are aligned and what you had for breakfast that day and what
hmm
knows what. So yeah, it feels very isolating for sure. Like with just the spotlight on you, there's people there, but they're 30 feet away from you in the dark. You can't see them,
hmm
feel them, and you just have, you are your own one-man band,
hmm
um, and that's it's just a different experience. I think
hmm
uh, what Martha Argerich, greatest ever,
Ever.
yeah, she even said that she kind of stopped doing solo recitals because it's so lonely. Uh,
Yeah.
it really is a strange, moment in time, giving a solo performance, whether it's like a short piece
Mm-hmm.
or, I mean, lots of people have memories of getting up and performing a piece for their studio recital.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's there's no experience quite like it, sitting there waiting for your turn, and then when you get up there, you feel that isolation and all
Mm-hmm.
the eyes on you, and I'm currently freaking myself out just
Great. So let's like dive in even deeper then.
yeah.
Let's just like activate your trauma now so that you
Exactly.
don't have to go through it on the day of the show. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess sort of for your first step, your first leap back into that isolation, that very public isolation. How did you think of programming this type of a concert? Yeah, like to sort of help you make that transition back into solo playing, um, or to challenge you in new ways. So how did you kind of think of the
Yeah.
pieces?
Um, well, it was really important that I start accessing composers that I haven't played before. I wasn't interested in pulling out some more Ligeti or Feldman, God forbid.
Oh
Um,
God.
but yeah, and I just wanted to explore artists that I found really fascinating, and who I thought had really unique and largely unheard voices. At least maybe to my audience, at least.
Mhm.
And I wanted the pieces to um, still have a certain familiarity in their sound with things that are generally heard, like the Amy Beach, for instance, is steeped in the romantic era traditions, and I mean, in a way, she does it better than a lot of the dudes. It's kind of like, it's just so like lush and
Yeah, say it. Say it loud.
yeah, it's amazing. Like
Yeah,
it's so complex
yeah.
and rich, and
Mm.
it's
Carries
satisfying.
all of the virtuosity that comes
Oh my
with
God.
standard romantic
Yeah.
repertoire, right? So it's got all of the tricks, you
Yep.
know?
Yep. Yeah, and it's hard to describe like exactly how her take on it is like. It's just it's slightly different. There's something
Mm.
much more difficult about it. It's sort of a maze, kind of traversing through her pieces, and the unfortunate thing is, and I mean that in a like, it's not a maze in how it's perceived as a listener. It just sounds like just really beautiful, lush, lyrical music. But as a pianist, it's just there are lots of layers
Mhm.
music, and they're all like weirdly melodic as well. So you have all these like independently moving lines, and so that's just a lot of complexity, for what sounds just like a lush like Rachmaninoff prelude. Yeah.
Yeah. I just hope that we get to someday where we talk about Rachmaninoff as sounding it's very like beach, like it's very Amy Beach.
Yes.
He sounds like
Yeah.
feminism.
Yeah, yeah. I know she's such a baller.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I was also, I mean, it bears mentioning that you know this program has gone through many iterations, and at one point I wanted to include a whole lot of Clara Schumann,
Hmm.
who's also just amazing and has an amazing
Amazing.
story, and
Yeah.
basically carried that relationship. But um,
And may or may not have actually written a good number of Robert's
You,
stuff.
yeah, I
That's,
mean, honestly, after playing like a bunch of her pieces, just perusing through it, like, yeah, that's a conspiracy theory I'd buy into.
yeah, that's one that I will like say it again, I will preach that one until I die.
Yeah,
It may be totally unbased and totally a lie, but like I
yeah.
want I want to believe.
And she was also considered like next to Liszt the greatest pianist.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yeah.
clearly, her husband, he messed himself up.
He was
Um,
high maintenance.
yeah, a lot.
But yeah, so you had at one point wanted to also include Clara.
Yeah, yeah. It didn't end up fitting kind of this final uh, iteration, and but yeah, there will be some Clara in my future. Just not for this program, unfortunately. But yeah, so I mean, the program. I also wanted to maybe not. there's not really like uh, a theme, so to speak. But the titles of all the pieces of across all the composers that I've uh, decided on, they kind of allude to uh, some sort of theme, but the titles themselves are not always great descriptors of the actual music.
Hmm.
And then that got me really thinking, like, that's always kind of the case with music. I mean, titles are suggestive. Some of them are a bit more obvious than others, but like when it comes to the music of Emma Hoy, whose full name I'm still trying, so I'm not going to try to embarrass myself and to besmirch her name right now, um, uh, yeah, her pieces are they're all descriptive titles, but they definitely don't necessarily like evoke the sound world that's in the description.
Mm,
And there's something so kind of like casual about her music,
mm,
the music itself, that sometimes betrays the titles, which I find
mm.
really fascinating. It's like she just slapped on titles and let us have our imagination, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's sort of like little it's like it's the power of suggestion, right? It's like, well, here's something to think about. And then you have that as your context for listening. And
Yeah.
then you can either hear the thing that is being suggested, or you can sort of go on your own little path.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like her music is only as programmatic as the title, but the music itself, I mean, it might as well just be like, absolute music. It just,
Right, opus, yeah, just opus
exactly.
numbers and just catalog numbers and nothing
Right.
else. And so how did you decide to kind of like, yeah, how do they what is the journey? What is it that what we can expect from this concert as we go from Amy Beach to Emma Hoy to
Yeah.
Missy Mazzoli, which is like, yeah, like,
Like a tour de force
yeah.
thing. Yeah, she's like she's really cool. Like I want to be
Yeah.
her friend. Are you watching
Yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. She's cooler than we are.
well, I mean, it sort of ties into like the descriptive titles. I, you know, I I ordered the program in a way where the titles themselves sort of suggest a narrative journey. The
Mhm,
opening piece is "Out of the Depths" um, by Amy Beach, and the program ends with a piece by Mazzoli called "Bolts of Loving Thunder."
mhm,
And uh, to me, it's just a very the journey is just like very kind of obtuse, like beginning, middle, and like almost an ABA format.
mhm,
Um, whether or not it comes off that way, I mean the peaks and valleys of intensity um, are there throughout the program, but um, there's a part of me that kind of felt like I didn't want it to be. Um, I also wanted the concert to just feel like you're just listening to some music, and that we don't always have to um, be treated to some grand narrative. Yeah, yes, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting to put together, to perform, and to go through, and we work in this like high art kind of
Mhm,
and sometimes I feel like we're always striving for some of the most horrendous like human emotions, and I wanted this to be simple. I
mhm.
wanted just to be a concert of beautiful music with a
Yeah,
suggested journey,
yeah,
um, and I hope it reads that way. I want
yeah.
people to be able to like lean back and just be like, "Yeah, this is nice."
Oh, this is nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right, exactly. It's like just a nice welcome back. Like here's some nice things. Do you
yeah,
like nice things?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's all it is.
Right, we don't always have to interrogate the depths of human suffering. Um, we can just have
Yeah.
nice things.
Yeah, I mean that's like been like at the core of so much of what we've done anyway, you know.
I know, I
Like we
know.
need to be that. That's not in the mission statement of Project Blank to do that.
Right.
And so we have the freedom to do to this kind of thing as well. So yeah,
Right. And also just sort of like I think that sometimes like for example, it's kind of a programmatic trick that symphonies do where they'll put the new music kind of somewhere in the middle and follow it by like the Beethoven just to
yeah,
make sure that people stick around, you know?
right,
But
right, yeah,
but and it's always sort of treated maybe not always that's obviously very generalistic but for me sometimes it feels like the new music is an afterthought or just sort of like just an inclusion just to say that you include contemporary composers and you don't really ever consider this lineage that like we go from historically we go from Amy Beach to Missy Mazzoli and Missy Mazzoli exists because Amy Beach composed music too
yeah,
and that like you know all of these things just sort of morph and grow over time and so that we can get to Emma Hoy who was isolated in a in a nunnery
yeah,
writing piano music and
right,
you know that
yeah.
it's just yeah that you're making these connections which I think is not lost on I hope on the audience.
Yeah, yeah, I think the thread is there, and yeah, and you can, I don't know, you can really hear. It's I'm like practicing my keister off, and I'm like getting, really into these pieces as much as I can. So it's hard to see the forest for the trees right now, but I'm just picking up on a lot of like just a lot of energies that they all share, even though their
Hmm.
music sounds wildly different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean also just I think I'm maybe it doesn't bear mentioning, but like these are all women composers. And
yeah,
and I would, of course, I think both of our sort of wish is that a program can be just female composers without having to like announce it from the rooftops like hey 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 girls it's girls come and hear music by girls
yeah,
you know
right.
that they're competitors, right? They're standard bearers, they are innovators, they're just they're duh.
Yeah,
It's music by
exactly.
women. Duh. Why not?
Well, I think maybe the next show that we have that's all by male composers, we should definitely push that angle. It's like, oh, men, oh my gosh.
Oh my God, white men.
Yeah,
Did you know
only thing about men music.
they
Yeah,
can write music
yeah,
sometimes?
yeah. I know, but that was so thorny because obviously, yes, with great purpose, I limited myself to female composers, and yeah, even that felt weird and had a bit of artifice in it, and until I just started kind of really playing the music and just kind of sifting through like all these catalogs of music I'd never been exposed to. So once I was kind of it began to be normalized for me as I was just playing the music and just seeing
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, this great music.
Right.
um, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So how are you feeling? You feeling ready?
oh, like at this very
No.
moment, no,
At this very moment.
no. I mean, I've only ran through the program like, uh, is this being recorded? Sorry.
Well,
Ran.
okay, just like let's clear date. So this will go out on the Monday. We're recording this.
Oh, okay, okay,
Like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. So this is
it's
yeah,
not like
like
yeah. It's not like the concert's
days
tomorrow.
out. Yeah, I'm like
You have
11 days
like,
out. Yeah.
yeah, you've
Um,
got time.
yeah. At the time of this recording, Brendan's not feeling ready.
Brendan's not prepared, and so
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't I've like yeah, going through the whole program is still like challenging. There's just a lot of music. It's hard to
Mhm.
read. the what's so fascinating is that the music, again, it's hard to say because I'm now inside of the music, but
Hmm.
uh, I don't think on the outside it sounds that crazy. I mean, Amy Beach sounds like sounds of her time.
Yeah,
I mean, Emma Hoy's music is like it's she's totally from another, like just a whole other world, you know. But
completely. Yeah,
yeah, but the harmonies in her music are very, very simple, like
yeah,
very put down. Even like a dominant chord, a full four note dominant chord is you don't hear it like it happens, you know, but like it's mostly simple triads. But like her music, when you look at it, it's actually rhythmically really complex.
right.
She really in a way, she's of her time, you know, during the mid 20th century when composers um, were very like they were micromanaging how you express everything,
Hmm.
and she does that with these apparently simple harmonies. So
Hmm.
rhythms are complex, the meters are changing constantly, and but it doesn't sound that way. It actually just sounds like you're improvising,
Hmm.
and so it has a strange balance between like this freedom of expression and this like straight up jazziness too.
Yeah,
um yeah, just straight up jazz minimalism
yeah.
of what I've settled on at the moment.
Yeah,
um
I think that's the best way to describe her, right? It's like it is she has a very unique lived experience
yeah,
that is that not and no one in our audience will ever really understand her trajectory, right? And that the isolation in a convent and just sort of being allowed to just sit at a piano and make noise
yeah,
all day. Just
yeah,
very prolific. It's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah, and in reading up on her life, like yeah, obviously she and I are very, very different people, but
Yeah.
yeah, but you know, you know, her. I mean, she was directly affected by the Ethiopian Italo conflict, and
Yeah.
family was they. She was a you know a refugee of war, as was my family.
Hmm.
I also read some funny anecdotes that she felt really embarrassed when she would run into other Ethiopians, but she wouldn't be able to speak very well
Mm.
'cause she lost a bit of the language, which I experience all the time with Vietnamese when I
Yeah.
meet Vietnamese people and they find out I'm Vietnamese and all of a sudden they start saying things and then I'm like deer in the headlights, like, oh my gosh, can't.
It's like, one more time, can you say that again slower? I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Try again.
yeah. So yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was kind of interesting to have like those little tiny parallels. But other than that, yeah,
Yeah.
such a fascinating lady.
Yeah.
And yeah, and her foundation, that's I think based somewhere on the East Coast. They seem like really, really great people doing good work, providing
Yeah.
free lessons for kids.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's pretty great.
yeah.
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 So, any final thoughts? Anything else that you'd like to kind of
Um,
share? Any No.
yeah, I mean, I was gonna write about this in the program notes, but maybe I'll just like just mention it a little bit. But um, I settled on a sort of triptych of women composers, and
Mhm.
in a way, I was raised by like three extraordinary women, and
Mhm.
concert is dedicated to them. Um,
Mhm.
and I feel their spirit in these pieces in various ways, and so in that way, it's personal, and yeah,
Oh,
that's it.
stop it. You got me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anytime you like talk about your freaking mother, I'm just like,
Oh, yeah,
I love
yeah.
her.
Yeah, yeah, my mom's pretty cool.
She's pretty great. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's pretty great.
yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking time out of your night
Yes,
to
yeah.
share a little bit of your journey with these women and their modes of expression, as varied as they are. And I cannot wait to hear it. I'm so looking forward to it. Know that you are supported and loved, and everybody is rooting for you. And we are so thrilled that you are kind of ushering us back into the world of music.
Oh, oh God, more responsibilities. Okay.
No.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, it's obviously it's to perform and to have this pressure. That's a Billie Jean King quote. Pressure is a privilege. So
Mhm.
um, it's certainly a privilege to like have an audience that wants to hear me play. I hope I did. Yeah, it's just you know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the heebie-jeebies of being alone on stage, and we'll see how that goes. It is like legit, totally scary, you know. Uh,
I
yeah,
know. It
yeah,
is absolutely scary. You're gonna barf a little bit, and then you will lock in, and then it'll be over.
yeah, right,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you so much, B.
Thank you, and goodbye.